Okay, everyone. So today I'll be talking about testing WebSockets in Postman, and I'll show you a demo on how to do it. So I'm Omkar Agrawal. I'm a Postman student leader, one of the very first in India. So I also work as a freelance full stack web developer. You can always contact me on GitHub and LinkedIn via my username Omkar Agrawal, and visit my website omkaragrawal.dev. So let's get started with the demo, and I'll share my Postman application in just a second. So let's get started with testing. For this, I have created a local server, which will have two parts to it. The first one being the chat server. It will respond to the chats that I'll be sending, and second one will be the game that I'll be showing you how to test. So let's get started. So here I have a WebSocket request with me, and if you don't know how to create a WebSocket request, it's pretty easy. You have to click here new and click on WebSocket request, and it will open the tab for a new WebSocket request. The user interface for WebSocket is very similar to the normal HTTP request that you have. And if you are a beginner and you don't know, then WebSocket, as you know now that WebSocket itself is a protocol. So here you have to type either WS or WSS. So WS is for WebSocket connections that are not secured, and WSS is for WebSocket connections that will be secured by encryption. So you have to type that, then colon, then double quote slash as you do in normal HTTP requests. So here you can use variables that are stored in your Postman. So here, if you can see, I have an environment called temp, and I have set it. And inside the temp, I have two variables set, that is the chat URL and the game URL, and they have their own respective value. So I'll start with testing for chat. So for chat, I'll have to go to chat URL, and I'll use a variable itself. So here, what you can use is here for testing purpose, they have given Postman has a feature of adding parameters. So if you have some query parameters to your URL, so you can add those parameters here. You will always add headers to it, and then you have settings here. So you can have some settings here. So here, if you see in settings, we have handshake request timer. You can always set it to give a threshold value after which it will cancel the handshake request, and you can set the reconnection attempts that Postman should do, and the intervals at which it should try to reconnect, and the maximum message size. So here it is by default 10 MB. I'll change this to 0 for this server, and okay. So this is it. So now I'll connect to my server here. I have already entered the path here, and I'll just click on connect. And as you can see that it tells me that it is connected here. Now if I click here, which is connected to WS localhost 881 for this chat. So now if I click on it, it will show me the handshake details here, and you can always see the handshake details if you have some problem connecting. Then you can always view handshake details. The first step while testing the WebSocket is sending some data over WebSocket. So Postman has a feature where you can you can compose the message that you want to send, and you can compose the message here. You can always set the data type that you want to send. So by default, it is selected this text, but you can always change it to JSON, XML, HTML, or binary, whatever you want according to your testing purposes. So here, let's say I'll start with strings. So I'll just set a string here. I'll just set a string here and click on send. So as you can see, it automatically parses the response for me, and it shows me the string that the server has sent. So here you can see it shows me the time, and this time is always your local time, the system time, and it is shown in the system time zone and the format of time is always it uses of your system. So that is another feature which you might find helpful. It was important to mention. So here, as you can see, it parses the data for me, and for the request that I have sent, it shows me that it is a text type. The data type is text, and the the data itself is string here. The the characters that are there in this string. So you can see that. But also not only, but it also parses the data that comes from the server. So as if you want to know which is the sent message or which is the data that I have, so always the sent messages are with the upward arrow, and the received messages are received data is from is displayed by downward arrow. So here it automatically parses the data and tells me that it is a text type, and it shows me the text. So the original data actually flows into hexagram, and this is the hexagram. You can always click here on the show hexagram, and it will always show you the hexagram, and this is how the data is flown. So you don't have to parse the hexagram yourself. Postman automatically does it. So let's say if the data type is not actually text and it is some other data type, but Postman has wrongly parsed it, so you can always set the data type here. So if you click on text, it will give the option to parse it as HTML, as JSON or XML. If you click on HTML, it will parse it as an HTML, and likewise you can change the data type if it is not correctly parsed, but in this case it is correctly parsing it. So yeah, so now I want some JSON data from myself. I'll type the JSON and click on send. So now as you can see, it sends me data. Now the server sends me data, and if I click on data, it automatically parses it to JSON, and it automatically parses to JSON, and it automatically parses the JSON data and shows me in the format of JSON. So in my JSON, it has a key called as response, and the text is hello world. This is the string message. So it automatically parses it, and I don't have to specifically do anything extra for it. It is very useful when you are testing for different data types. And as you can see, it automatically formats the data format into a plain format. Instead of reading it as this, which is a bit untidy, it automatically formats it for you. So WebSocket allows you to transfer binary data also. So I'll just request for a binary data from my server, and I'll type binary here and click on send. So now, as you can see, it tells the Postman tells me that it is a binary data and it does not actually show me the data because it is in binary format. So it tells me that okay, it is in binary format, and if you want to see the data, you can always click on it, and this is how the data is transmitted, and this is how actually the data looks like. Okay, so this is how the data is actually transmitted now. So it is not string, but it is the server has actually responded with this. But Postman allows you to again parse that data, so you can always click on show message, and it will show you the message itself. So whatever data that is sent in binary format, it will show you that. So now let's say I want to receive, let's say, a video data. So WebSocket allows you to transmit video or other files over the WebSocket. So let's say I ask for a video, and as you can see, the server has sent me a video file. Here you can see it shows me that it is a video, and it parses itself, so I don't have to make sense out of some binary data right here. So, and if I click on video, then it automatically loads the video. So you can also play the video here. So as you could if you could hear, so you can play the video as well. So yes, it loads the video and you can play it. It gives you an interface to play it. Then let's say I want some audio data over to be transmitted. I'll ask for audio and click on send. Again, it shows me that it is audio and I don't have to do anything for it. We just have to receive a data that too is received by postman. So it automatically parses it, and similarly, similar to the video data, it allows me to play. It allows you to play as well. So yes, that is another feature. So now let's say I want to receive one XML data. I'll just type here XML, and my server will send me an XML data. So here, as you can see, it parses XML for me, and it gives me it already formats it, but I don't know, there might be some mistake in my server, so it might be sending some wrong data type. So here you can always, as I told you previously, you can always change the data type here. And if I go for XML, as you can see, it color codes the keywords and other things. So so you can always change the data type here if it is not correctly parsed. So yes, then so now as you can see, we have a lot of data here, a lot of data transmitted, and now among this data I want to search for something, and let's say I want to search for both. It tells me that there is nothing as both, so I'll just search for something else. Let me know, and let's say I search for string here. I'll just type here string, and as you can see, it it shows me all the data flow that has the word string in it. So here it is a string, here there is a string, here there is a string, and this itself is a string. So you can always use this search to improve to search for some data type. Postman also allows you to filter this data. So let's say I want to look for all the data that I have sent. So I can always click on send and it will filter the data for me. And here, as you can see, this is string. So this is the data that I have sent. I can also click on received and it will show all the messages that I have received uh, with the this search. Within this search, this is uh, this was all for the chat server. Now we'll switch to the socket.io server. But before that, there is another important thing that I want to tell you. So you can always, I'll just clear the input here and cancel my search. So here are all the data. So you can always, if you feel like this data is not important to me now, and I don't want it to clutter my my visualization. So you can always click on clear messages, and Postman, interestingly, here what it does is it hides those messages and it does not actually delete it. So let's say after some time I want to, I by mistake deleted cleared the message, but now I want to go over those messages. So Postman, interestingly, here hides those messages. You can always click on restore here to restore all of those messages. But you can again click on clear message here and delete all of those and it gets hidden. Okay, so I'll disconnect here. To change over to socket.io, you can always click on this row here So up until now, we were using raw WebSockets. So if you don't know that, you can develop raw WebSockets. So Socket.io itself is implemented over raw WebSockets, and so that it can provide you a clean interface to write code. But there are a lot of development happening in the raw WebSocket itself. So this was for all this. Uh, the chat testing was for the raw WebSocket connection. Now to switch to the Socket.io connection, you can click on raw and always switch to Socket.io. So as you can see, the interface changes a bit, and there are some more additional features here for the website. So official support for WebSockets was introduced in, I think, July 30, and official support for Socket.io was brought on 5th or 6th August. So it's a very latest addition to Postman. So here again you can see the user interface. You can again will again have to set the URL. So I'll just set the URL and use the variable here. So now I have to connect over game URL. So I'll just use this game URL here. I don't want to set any parameters, so I'll not set any parameters. Same with headers. I don't want to set any additional headers. Uh, you can always add events here that you want to listen to, or what events that you want to listen to. You can always add those here. You can add description to it. You can click on listen on connect and it will connect. So what I'll do is I'll add an event here called as handshake here, and the year is it will be used at the start of the game, and I'll click on listen on connect, and the same I'll do with go. I'll click on listen to connect. I'll add another one that is win, and I'll enable listen on connect. You can always delete these events. Then uh, so to connect to my server, I'll have to change a few settings. And if you see the settings here, it is changed as well. So here it allows you to connect to three versions of Socket right now. That is version 2, version 3, and version 4. So I have my socket that I'm set up on version 4. So I'm click on version 4. Here the socket.io is usually over its default handshake path, but here I have set it to /game here. So my handshake path will be /game. Change it, and then again you can set the handshake request timeout, the reconnection attempts, and the reconnection interval. Okay, so I'll now click on connect. As you can see, it shows me the confirmation that I'm connected to my localhost server. So if you remember, we have set events here. You can also set add listeners here. So let's say I want to add another listener called as status. So I can click go on status. I'll type status here and enter, or you can click on this plus. So as you can see, it tells me this status. Now another one that I want to listen to is draw, and then type draw and click on this plus sign, and it will start listening to draw event here. Okay, so one thing to note when testing a WebSocket uh, that is socket.io is that whenever you add event listener here, so all the listeners have different color coding assigned to them automatically. You don't have to do that, and it will be automatic here. So you have to. Um, so it's an interesting feature because it color codes, and you don't have to uh, go over the same colored written the string written here in the same color, and you can always skim through the messages and know that okay, this color is for this thing and so this message is relating to draw, or this message is relating to status or any other event that you have added. Okay, so now for socket.io, you can always request for acknowledgement from the server. So to receive to check for an acknowledgement, you can tick here. So you can always ask for an acknowledgement here using this feature here. So now let's to start with testing. So you can always add arguments to any messages that you sent over socket.io. So to add arguments, you have to click here on the plus arg button here, uh, and it will add arguments to you, and you can always compose those messages for those arguments, but will not use any arguments for now. So I want to now let's switch over to the browser. I'll show you how my actual game looks like. Okay, give me a second. So this is my browser here. I have opened Chrome DevTools here. I'll show some interesting thing in Chrome DevTools for WebSockets. So let's go over to my game. I'll type localhost colon 8080, and here you can see that my game has loaded. Here is my tiles that I'll have to play on, and it says both the players have joined the game. Press start when ready. Okay, so now Chrome DevTools itself allows you to test WebSockets, not exactly test WebSockets, but it allows you to at least view the WebSocket transmission that is happening. So if you go to network tab and you click on WS here, it will show you all the network requests for WebSockets. And if you click here and click on messages, so it will show you all the messages transmitted over here. Okay, so now if I click on start here, after pressing start, you can see that there is data transmission happening, and this is the first event that I'm transmitting to, that is the start, and there is no data transmitted, but this event has been issued by the socket.io, by the client to the server. So, the second here you can see the upward arrow is for the data that is sent, and downward arrow is for the data that I have received from the server. So now for the handshake event, there is data transmitted, that is X. So now the browser player is X, and the status is waiting for the second player. Now let me switch back to my Postman server, Postman application. So now switching back to my Postman application, I have to uh, I have to recreate that start event here. So you can always set the event that you want to send the data to, that you are setting up here. So the data is nothing. So I'll just give it to empty strings there, and to empty colon, two colons with no data built in between them. You can always set event here to which the data has to be transmitted. By default, it uses a message here, message event. So by default it transmits over the message event, but I don't want that. So I'll just type here start and click send. And here you can see that it shows me that data transmitted over start event is empty, that is just double colons. And for the handshake event, it tells me that it has received 0 O, that is not 0, that is O. So it has received text O, and here it says that on the go event it says place X, and there are no errors. So let me switch back to my browser here. So now let's start playing the game. So I'll start with playing in the middle time, and here you can see that it says on the push event that is a data transmission happening with a JSON data transmission. The JSON has keys as sign X and Y with values as X 1 and 1 respectively. So here for x and y, 1 is the position. So if you, as you know that array indexing starts from 0. So 1 is this position, 1 for x is the center column, and 1 for y is the center row. So this is the exact position for x, and the sign is x here. So uh, that that should make sense to you. Now I switch back to my Postman again. So here, as you can see that there are two new events received in the Postman, and that is draw event and go event. So for draw event, it says that x1 y1 and sign is x. While Postman provides you allows you to copy the message directly. So I'll just copy this message here and I'll add it here. If you see, it allows me to do that, but I don't want it to be this. So what is the change that I want? So I want it to be sent as a JSON body and not a text data. So I want it to be sent as JSON. So I'll just click on JSON here. I'll change some data here. So now the sign for the player in the Postman is 0. So I'll type here boom. For the position, let's say I want to it at true to. So I'll just type true to here and click on send. So here I'll change my event here. So I'll type it on push. So I want to send it over the event push and I'll click on send. So as you can see, the message has been sent and there are two new again data transmission happening, that is for draw and go. So you can always disable listeners here as well. So you can always disable and delete the listeners as per your convenience over here, and you can see the changes happening there. But so now if you see, this data is very looks very untidy and is very difficult. So you can always use this beautify option here given by Postman to beautify the data, especially if it's JSON, and it will reformat the data for you, and now it looks very readable. So here is x2, y2, and the sign is 0. So now if I switch back to my browser, in my browser, you can see that the UI has been updated and it is at the position X2 Y2, that is the bottom right corner. It is already set as 0. So yes, the UI automatically updates and you can always see that here as well. So over draw event it says X2 Y2 sign 0, and for go event it says uh, plays X and error is none. So likewise, you can play the whole game here, but I'll not do that. Let me switch back to my Postman. Here again, you can see that the data transmitted is overdraw and go event is shown here. You can always search here. So let's say I want to search for both here now, and it shows me that it's the event is status and the data is both players have joined the game. Press start. Ready? So this is all for testing WebSockets in Postman. So there are incremental additions happening in Postman. So look for please be updated about those changes. So to learn about new features that are incrementally being added to the Postman. So that is all for the testing purposes. Thank you very much. And let's start with the questionnaire. So before starting the questionnaire, there are some slides that I want to show you. So what is the future for WebSockets now? So one of the future that I can say is WebRTC, even though it has been standardizing and is widely used, but it is most certainly a future for WebSockets. Even though it is not built on WebSockets, but it improves the performance of WebSockets by allowing browser to browser communication directly without the involvement, uh, complete involvement of the server. So it is actually not a protocol, it is a technology and a collection of standards and protocols and JavaScript APIs. And it allows us to send audio, video, and data sharing between the browsers. And the most common use case you can say is the Google Meet or the Zoom or any other application that you use for chat. That is a most common, widely used use case of WebRTC. Next come is the HTTP2. So it is a successor to HTTP 1.x, and it improves a lot of performance of HTTP 1.x, and it supports multiplexing over a single TCP connection by default. And gRPC is actually based on HTTP2. So if your browser doesn't support HTTP2, then there might be some issues running some applications, but most of the modern browser does support gRPC. So that means by default it supports HTTP2. So that's actually everything about WebSockets that I wanted to show you. So now we can actually go forward with any questions if there are.
Thank you, Omkar. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody in Twitch, feel free to ask any questions right now, and we'll try to get them to Omkar in the next couple minutes. I wanted to also tell you, we have a couple of One Piece fans in the chat that appreciated your reference in the demo. One more thing, WebSockets are a relatively new feature to Postman. I think they were publicly released like 3 months ago, and you also demoed the socket.io support, which was just released last week. So that's incredible that you were able to demonstrate that on the stage to us today. How would you suggest a student get started with WebSockets if they're just learning the word WebSocket and want to understand how to use it better?
So if you want to learn WebSocket, one of the best ways is to understand why you would need a WebSocket in the first place, and then implement similar behavior. So there are many methods under the Comet name. So there are methods like HTTP polling and all. So if you read about it, then it's easy to learn. And there are obviously for Node.js and any other development programming language you use. So there are a lot of examples on YouTube, and I'll always recommend YouTube. One more thing I think I missed out on the demo was that you can always select messages and see the time difference between each transmission of that message. So you can always do that. I missed out in the demo.
Excellent. How can somebody know if they need WebSockets in their application?
So a most common use case would be where you have a lot of data transmission. So let's say we are using Facebook Messenger or Instagram DM or even WhatsApp in that case. So all of these are live data transmission things, and it cannot be done over HTTP because it is a request response method. So WebSocket allows you full duplex connection and bidirectional data flow. So whenever you have a need where server has to update the client about some data that it has received, so that is a most common use case. So that would be even for gaming. If you play any game like PUBG or any other live game, that is implemented over WebSockets. And there are many more examples which use WebSockets.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. We have a question in the chat. What is the benefit of WebSocket over regular HTTP requests? I think you kind of touched on it.
But it has a different answer. It's actually a good question. So the benefit of WebSocket is that if let's say I don't have WebSockets for me, so what I will do is I will make an HTTP request every, let's say, 2 seconds to the server. So the issue is with the server because it has to do a lot of things behind the scene, like making a TCP connection, performing a handshake, and then responding to the client with mostly with new data. And then it always depends on the client when it has to when it sends a request, at that time server gets a chance to respond, and at that time many a times the server is not free and the client is not updated. So in those case, WebSockets are used, and it is a benefit because WebSocket allows bi-directional flow. So client does not need to wait for the server to complete the transmission, or the server does not have to wait for the client to complete the transmission, and they can send the data in real time. So all of the real time things implement WebSocket, and it actually gives a performance boost to the application.
Got it. So it sounds like WebSockets are the way to go if you have like bi-directional, two-way live communication happening, like in a chat, for example. I think that's one of the examples you used in your demo. You also had a game example in your demo. Can you think of any other example use cases for WebSockets and like maybe projects that you've done before that might inspire students to try it out?
So yes, I had built up text editor on. So I had built it, but I was wondering how to improve it. So I came across Google Docs. So Google Docs allow you to do live edits, and multiple people can do it. So it is actually built upon WebSockets. So one of the I had implemented it in my text editor, and it was live editing, so other person can see what I'm editing, and he can also do what I'm doing.
Yeah, so WebSockets aren't just for games; they can also be for work as well. Yeah, do you have that project, the WebSocket editor project, like on GitHub?
Yeah, I have it on my GitHub, and I'll make it public. It's actually a private repository.
Oh, okay. All right. I won't force you to reveal it to the world, but that sounds wonderful. And yeah, thank you so much for demonstrating all of these WebSocket features that are relatively new to Postman. I think we've covered all the questions in the chat. So thank you again. And
thank you, everyone. Bye.